Your environment affects you in ways that are hard to even explain. We've all had experiences walking through an expansive hotel lobby with chandeliers and designer furniture placed just so. And even if you're wearing a t-shirt, suddenly you feel like $1,000,000. Well, the same is true outside. As a landscape designer, I'm often asked to pick plants to make people's yards look pretty. But there are so many advantages for spending time outdoors and connected to nature. At a time when we're clearly witnessing the effects of climate change, water shortages, and the severe decline of insect and bird populations, providing native plants is becoming increasingly critical. What you do with your own little piece of the earth can make a difference in the world. But it goes even deeper than that. A well-designed landscape can fundamentally change who you are. It can elevate your day-to-day experience of life, create new rituals and habits, strengthen relationships, create memories, and leave a legacy. So the question isn't, what do I want my yard to look like? It's more like, what do I want my life to be like? What would make me feel incredible? Who do I want to become? I first discovered this in France after having grown up in Houston with basically a yard of dead grass. I'd moved to France with my former French husband, and we were staying with his parents while we were both looking for jobs. I spent every day in this little wild garden. There was a cherry tree full of cherries that would drop to the ground. I'd pick berries from the garden and make tarts. His parents ground their own wheat to make their own bread, which they baked in an outdoor oven that they also built themselves. And that was a little over the top maybe, but the senses and the sounds and the textures awakened me. Unlike in the US, where when we eat outside, we eat on paper plates with plastic cutlery, there, we just brought everything from inside outside. We sat on nice chairs and ate off real plates with cloth napkins and had wine from really nice glasses. Every day felt like a special occasion, and it was. Drinking wine from a plastic cup and wiping your hands on paper towels is not the same. In this garden, we had deep, enriching conversations dining outside, and later around a fire next to the vegetable garden. I felt happy and inspired. I felt strong and smart. It made me want to be a better person, and I felt my best self when I was there. I've brought this philosophy back with me to the US, and today I specialize in hyper-local sustainable design. And I believe that no matter what your budget is or your space, a yard, a patio, a balcony, you can elevate your life by making your space a reflection of you. So rather than starting with the plants, I say start with your personality. Whenever we begin a project, we always ask clients a ton of questions. And some of those questions may seem silly, but the more we know, the more we can tailor a space around you. So, for example, your personality. Are you someone who needs a lot of downtime alone? Or are you a social butterfly who has a dinner party planned every week? Your past memories of nature. What did you do as a kid? Did you love climbing up trees, reading beneath them, swinging in a hammock, searching for toads? And your profession. How do you spend your time each day? A few years back, a woman called me up and she said her husband was a hardworking guy who spent most of his time working at the computer, but the view outside his window was boring and neglected. When we came to visit the site for the first time, indeed it was pretty unlively and cramped. We could see on the iNaturalist app that the neighborhood was teeming with wildlife. There were birds and butterflies, foxes, raccoons, and screech owls. But because the space was so barren, none of those creatures ever showed up. And that was a bummer because the husband happened to be an avid bird watcher. So we played with the shapes and the forms, and we came up with a plan for how to fit it all in, like a puzzle. Everything was designed to be viewed from his home office window. We created custom bird feeders and a concrete water feature with a bench so that humans could sit and so that birds could come and splash around. This architectural feature creates the feeling of a separate outdoor room with steel posts for vines to grow up that also hold string lights. Outdoor office by day, family dining by night. What once used to be a pass-through is now a garden oasis filled with butterflies and birds. When we came to photograph the space, we accidentally literally caught our client in her bathrobe having coffee. She tells us that she never imagined that she would spend so much time outside, and this space has become her favorite space in the house. A lot of time people see our website and they see multi-million-dollar houses and they think, oh, I could never do that. But this project is a great example of just how much you can do with a small space. When you take a good look at your personality, your preferences and aspirations, it becomes clear what matters to you most. So what would you like to do more of? Almost anything you already do inside, you can do outside. For example, bathing outside is amazing. Reading, cooking, Saturday pancakes, yoga, watching movies. We worked with a family who spent most of their time indoors on computers, but they loved to play games. So we designed an outdoor chess set strategically placed right in front of their windows to entice them outside, and a labyrinth for them to run around with a secret fairy garden. With good design, any element of your life can be more inspiring. And without a doubt, the most inspiring thing about my job is taking a barren space, inviting nature back in, and watching it come to life. A woman called me up and said she wasn't really an outdoorsy kind of person, and she wouldn't be spending much time in her yard. But she wanted us to fix some major drainage issues, and she wanted us to make her yard as beautiful as her home. So with an open invitation like that, we took the opportunity to bring ecology back to the site with a sea of inland sea oats for the birds. And rather than a direct path from the street to the front door, we created a meandering suspended entry traversing over a pond with plantings strategically chosen for their fragrance, sustainability, and drama. It's all about elevating the daily experience of life and encouraging our clients to slow down just a little and enjoy their surroundings. One of my favorite examples is a couple who came to us with a builder-grade landscape of mostly river rock that was really hard to walk on. And beyond the house was a massive lawn with spray irrigation that was hard to maintain and costing them a fortune in water, especially during this age of drought and water restrictions. So in order to create a more sustainable, enjoyable, easier to maintain landscape, we decided that the best solution was to let most of it go wild. The family didn't need all that space. We could return it to the birds and the bees and wildlife. Of course, the ecologist in me is thrilled any chance we get to take a thirsty lawn and create a more sustainable landscape. One thing that you can do to replace some but not all of your lawn is create a retaining wall that divides the area into two spaces. In this case, for the family, we designed a small infinity edge lawn overlooking their beautiful Texas Hill Country views. And below it, a more wild area, seeded with wildflowers and native grasses that require way less maintenance and way less water. Within less than a year, the wildflowers were already up to our noses. The goal with every project is to create a property that's alive, so that when you step foot into your yard, you hear and you feel the energy shift. It's like stepping into a forest. You hear the buzzing and the chirping and the crunching and the rustling. It relaxes you, distracts you, and melts away your stress. I feel a personal responsibility to getting kids outside. So I'm always encouraging parents to create outdoor rituals that get them out of the house morning and night. I always love to plant edible food throughout a property so that you can send kids out to pick berries and herbs. Together they can make popsicles, juices, teas, tarts. That act of making and tasting things will stick with them a lifetime. What all of these examples show is that your yard has unlimited potential for relaxation, human connection, and fun. And you are the steward of that land. So rather than start with the plants, start with you. Become a student of your own personal preferences and experiences. Notice how a space affects you for better or for worse. Dream up all the things you'd love to do with your life and make space for those activities there. Invite nature back in to share the land with you. Because when you design a space with thought and care, you will create a life well lived. Thank you.